Hi everyone, this is Sunita from Dream Building Now. I'm meeting here today with my dear friend Elizabeth Salazar from Get Visible Marketing, and today we are talking about starting a business and particularly women's issues when they start a business. So Elizabeth, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. Will you tell me something about yourself?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, Sunita. I'm excited to come on here because I think as women, we all have our own challenges when it comes to running a business. So I am the founder of Get Visible Marketing, and I also have a weekly show where I share with people marketing and strategy tips. But the core of what I do is I help women who run service-based businesses to build an audience, a raving audience, so that when you launch your first or next product, you have a group of people that are ready to receive it. And then I also focus on that visibility and I always forget what the third point is, so I clearly need to remember it. Audience building, visibility, and traffic. Yes, driving traffic. You're right. I put that in my notes.
I listened to your live stream today. I remember.
Yeah, so I know. And you know, it's not always going to be perfect, but that's the core of what I do.
But can you tell us how you started? Was it a long time ago? How were your beginnings? What was the most difficult thing when you were starting out?
So I got started in September. I started last August, but so it's almost been a year. Next month will be a year, but I kind of look at September as being more because I started in this accountability group where we meet every morning at 5 a.m. Monday through Friday. And so I've been doing that for almost a year now. And it's really amazing when you have something like that because you can really look at your progress over time and say, when I started, I guess to take a couple of steps back from that, you know, back when I was working my normal job, this was even 2 jobs ago, like we're talking 5 or 6 years ago, maybe longer at this point. But I used to listen to Pat Flynn, and he had just started his podcast. Like he was probably in his first year of podcasting. And I would listen to him talk about, you know, making money online and all of these tricks and tactics and strategies and bring these cool people on. And I just thought to myself, like, that's what I want. I want to have an online business. I want to, you know, there was still this desire in me even back then. Like I knew I wanted to help women. I knew that there was something I was being called to do, but I hadn't figured out what it was. And even a year ago, I hadn't figured out what it was. I was still at that point when I was kind of floundering, trying to figure things out. And, you know, as you guys are in the beginning stages of your business and thinking about those things as well, I guess I want to give you a little bit of encouragement that, you know, even though I didn't really feel like I knew what I was doing, I knew there were things that I was good at, marketing. And I even had experience already with online marketing. And so, I mean, by February, I think it was February, I had my first paying clients. And it wasn't though until, let's see, this is July, I'm going to say June, last month, that I really honed in on exactly who my ideal client was. And I felt that like, yes, I'm going in the right direction and I'm doing exactly what I need to be doing. So it's a process. I mean, I don't remember if I answered your question at this point, but don't feel like you have to have it all figured out. And, you know, that's just kind of somehow how it goes. So,
yeah. How did you transition from your last job to being an entrepreneur?
Yeah, so I didn't give myself permission to start this. Even though I could have financially many years ago, I waited until I had a baby. And I knew like, okay, I'm not going to send my brand new baby to a daycare. And so that was an easy thing for me to say like, okay, I'm going to stay home. And so I just like to add that extra pressure on myself. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to just stay home. I'm going to start my business. And because this was something I'd wanted to do and I had tried to do it while I was pregnant, I bought this course that, you know, I thought was going to be good and it wasn't. It didn't help me at all. So basically I used that time of having my baby to build my business and really start thinking about, you know, because I was already home, thinking about how I wanted to create this life and business.
I think that's one of the biggest benefits of staying at home, that you can actually focus some time on your business and then have time with your family as well. This is one of the questions I wanted to ask you, how do you balance family and business?
Yeah, I wasn't able to very successfully. And so I ended up hiring somebody to help me because
That's
I
perfect.
found that while I was trying to balance it, what was really happening is I was waking up at like 4 a.m. to try and get in 3 hours of work. And because I was still in that stage when I didn't know, and this is one of the things that I help people with, is doing the right things in the right order. Because I, for so long, was just like, you've heard the analogy, throwing mud at the wall and hoping something would stick. But when you're a mom and when you're waking up at 4 a.m. and you're like just desperate for nap time so that you can try and get something done, you really have to be more purposeful about doing the right things in the right order. And so how do I balance this? So right now what this looks like is I get up every morning at 5 a.m. and I don't always work. I'm actually trying not to work. I have those 2 hours set aside. So some days, if I'm super busy, like yesterday and today, I've been really busy. Yesterday, I did successfully still take 15 or 20 minutes to like read and just spend some time thinking about, myself and personal development. Today, I haven't taken that time yet, but I'm still hopeful. But I have that morning time where it's like, I can just focus on me if I want. But if I'm super, super busy with stuff at work, then I can spend some time there just like catching up and getting some stuff done. And then I spend a couple hours with my family. And then I have a nanny who comes Monday through Thursday for 5 hours. So she comes from 9 to 2. And then my baby sometimes naps a little bit longer than that. So I get like bonus hours. But that's kind of how I juggle it. But it hasn't been a smooth process. I mean, in the beginning, my husband used to harass me like, why are you always on the computer? Why are you always looking at your phone? No, you better not go up there and get on your computer one more time. And it's like, okay. Even now, I'm really careful on the weekends because it's okay if he tells me he needs to do some work and he'll like go into the office for a few hours. But if I tell him I have to work, he's like, oh. And I'm like, what?
Yeah. They don't understand. I know.
And, it's just the balance. I have to make sure as the mom that I am balancing that because I have to be both present. Plus I have to, because he's really, really amazing and he is really supportive and that's what makes this whole process work. But he does have this list, this boundary that like, I don't want to only be the one taking care of our kids in the night and on the weekends, like I'm not allowed to work 24 hours a day. So I hear your rooster there.
I haven't seen them for a while. They come here to say hi. And I have cats around me as well. Kittens, nice. Actually. They are new kittens. I'm so happy to have them now. Well, yeah, you said, so you have a nanny. That's one of the best support systems you can get. And I really think that's something it's not a luxury. It's something that we are entitled to when we work from home. And I'm so glad you have that. And what else did you create for yourself around your business, around your family? What kind of support systems do you use? What helps you?
Yeah, I mean, there are a few things. So one is, my husband is really amazing. Even though there are some elements that he doesn't really, one of the biggest advantages I think that I have over a lot of women is that my husband is so supportive. So for my business, like, it doesn't matter if it makes enough money to cover the nanny or not. He's like, that's okay. We'll take it out of the personal money. Because he knows that with the business money, I'm hiring a coach, I'm hiring an assistant, I'm doing these different things. I'm creating a cushion. And so having a supportive husband is one of the most amazing things. Some of the things that I have, and this isn't going to apply to everybody. I'm in a great place. I have a 12-year-old. So I have 2 kids and a third one on the way. So I have a 12-year-old daughter. I have an 18-month-old daughter, and then we have another daughter on the way. So I got a tic-tac-toe, 3 in a row.
Nice.
Yeah. And so having a 12-year-old is amazing because she's at that responsible age where she can help with the 18-month-old if I need to take a call. And so in the early days, that's what she would do. I would be like, hey, I need to get on the phone for 30 minutes. And I know that a lot of moms, if they don't have a giant age gap like that, they are like, what do I do with my kid? I can only take calls when I'm on a nap. And so I felt like that was a big boost. And then having a nanny, I would say those are the core support systems. There's tons of systems that I've created that help me to be successful. But when it comes to support and the people that rally around me, those are the people that really make it possible for me to do what I do every day.
How about some, I wanted to ask, do you have a coach right now? Do you belong to a membership or a mastermind group or something like that? Is that helpful to people who are just starting their business? Would you recommend something like that?
I would. So when I first started, so up to this point, I've had 4 coaches. 2 of them were like one-off, you hire them for one specific thing, or another one was like a 3-hour session. And then 2 of them were like longer term commitments, 3 months. I would say, I remember people saying that in the beginning, that the key is just to hire someone and help you to get over those initial like humps. And I didn't believe them. And part of this has to do with my story, which was that because I know marketing, it kind of hit me one day that I had assumed that marketing was all I needed. And I had forgotten that you have to know who your ideal client is and you have to know what you're offering them. And so literally I went for 6 months in my business, just skipping over those steps. Like that's foundation business 101. You have to know those 2 variables. And the next level is then marketing. And so I read this article one day and it was like last month. And it was just this realization, like, holy crap, I completely skipped the first steps of my business. And, if I would have hired somebody in the beginning who helps new coaches or new online business people, they would have been able to help me see that immediately. And instead, I wasted 9 months, like, trying to figure it out myself and floundering and trying to. So right now I do have a coach. It's scary hiring coaches. It's also expensive and it's a learning process. So my very first coach, I hired her because I knew her, I love her, and I knew she was good at business. But I told her what I needed help with, and she didn't dig deeper to really figure out what my problem was. And so that's one of the things that for me personally, I took that as a learning experience, and I never trust what people tell me off the bat. I always look deeper. If they tell me I have a problem with, my Facebook page is not converting or my website or, I can't get clients, I try and take it a couple steps back and figure out like, okay, why can't you? Let's look at the basis of this. So that was kind of one of the problems I had with the first coach. One of the coaches I just hired her to help me with messaging, but because I didn't even know my ideal client or what I was doing, that didn't do me any good. Another coach, I don't know, it was weird. I hired her on the spur of the moment. She was super expensive. So if anybody's ever like, nobody will hire me at the spur of the moment, even if my sessions cost $700. Yes, they will. You just never know what kind of crazy people are out there because we're desperate for a solution. We're desperate for a solution. And so people will do it, like they might not even know you. They haven't even been in your audience that long. And then my current coach, it was perfect timing for me. We've actually just been working together for a month now in a 2-month package. And I hired her because I love the system she had around creating content. And I needed that help in creating those structures and keeping me focused. And this is one of the things that I just want to reassure those of you who are watching this is that you at some point are going to feel like you're a failure because you aren't perfect at what you do, doing it for yourself. And you're going to look at yourself and you're going to say, I can do this so well for other people. Why can't I do this for myself? And ultimately, the reason is that you aren't unique. We all struggle with this. And it's something, this is why I'm hiring someone, because yesterday I email her and I say, I know I'm supposed to be focusing on booking more calls and increasing, doing a better close rate because let me tell you this too. I tried that whole tactic of like, just create great content and people will hire you. It doesn't work. You have to ask people to work with you. You have to tell them how they can work with you. And so that's something that I'm perfecting right now. And in addition to creating content consistently and creating systems for my virtual assistant. And so I have all of these things that are in place that I'm working on and I know are important. And yet yesterday I still have to email my coach because you know what I want to do? I want to create a group course. I want to create a product. I want to create a summit where I talk to all these cool people about a specific topic. And it's like, I have to hire somebody to, one, help me stay in line. Like, stop it, Elizabeth. Get back to what's important. And the other one is just that kind of bouncing ideas and helping me with, like, I know what to do, but for some reason, I still need somebody to help me do it for myself. So yes, the short answer to the long answer is I wish that I would have hired someone sooner. It's super beneficial. I have never been in a mastermind, but I am in a morning accountability group, and that's kind of similar, and it's amazing. It's great for building those relationships.
So this is just to look back. Do you think there was a game changer that helped you with your business? You know, the point when you realized what needed to change, or is there something like that? Did you do a course, or was these coaches that helped you so much?
I think the biggest thing that helped me to change in my business was I read this article by Todd Herman about the stages of business. And when I read that, and I did a blog post about this for like Ideal Client Work, when I read that, it was a light bulb moment for me. And everything from there, up to that point, I'd already been building my Facebook group. I'd already been building my mailing list. I'd been working on building my audience, but ultimately, and driving traffic and doing all these things, but I was doing it in vain. And so I think I see that article as kind of being a turning point for me. It's like that was the moment I realized that my business is missing a really big aspect. And so once I had that aspect, it was easier for me to create content consistently, to show up, to create challenges and trainings that people want to come to, and ultimately kind of getting to that place where I'm creating these systems around how do I bring in clients, how do I bring in the right clients,
sorry,
and all that.
I'm sorry.
He's like hanging out with you.
Annoying. Yeah, you have to send us a link to that article. I have heard about Todd Herman just recently, and I think he's quite an impressive guy. So I'll just read the article. If it was this important, then you have to share it.
And it's not that the article is so like breakthrough amazing. It's a good article, but I think that for each of us, we have a point of something we're looking for. And so we can connect with the answer, because literally I read this article, and because it was what I needed in that exact moment, it was this light bulb moment of like, oh my gosh, how have I been missing this whole time? I told my husband, like, I found the missing piece. And he's like, well, okay. And was it the missing piece? No, there are lots of pieces that have to all come together. But it was a turning point for me. And so I'll be happy to share that article with you. But ultimately, I don't want anybody to get the idea that it's like this article was just the end all be all. Because then you'll read it and you'll be like, this is okay. Because ultimately, you need what connects with what you need right now.
Yeah. It's just the right piece of content at the right moment of time when it finally all sits together right how it should be.
Exactly.
Like pieces of puzzle come together. Well, okay, so what advice would you give at this point to women who are in the early stages of their business? Now, when they struggle with procrastination and lack of focus and lack of consistency and not getting enough income in?
Yeah. I mean, my first recommendation is if you can hire someone, do it, because it's that accountability, that brainstorming, that right steps in the right order will make all the difference. And I'm a strong believer that we can't see things about ourselves that we need to see. So it's like, even with our business, we can't see the entire picture. We're like stuck in the forest. And the reason you hire someone is so that they can give you that overview image of like, here's what you're missing. There's a big gap over here, but you don't see it. So that's my first recommendation. My other recommendation, if you can't hire someone, is to pick something and go with it. And don't try and compare yourself to someone else. Don't look at people like Pat Flynn or Amy Porterfield or James Wedmore and say to yourself, I'm not them, therefore I must not be doing something awesome. Just start where you're at. Don't try and like create a package and your first day doing whatever you're doing, say, I'm going to charge $10,000 for this package because I'm worth it. I listened to this mindset practice and it said I'm worth it. And I just want to encourage you, like, pick something, get really specific, know your ideal client, know what you're offering. I mean, that's probably the first thing. Know your ideal client, know what you're offering, but just then be really specific and plan ahead. I mean, there's tons of stuff you can do, but as long as you are just okay with starting where you're at, charging a lower amount so that you can get the experience and the validation. Because when you get to the point in your business when every single person you talk to, you get off the phone and you're just like guacamole, and I just changed their life. Like, I just changed their business. And that's what I know, is that I know that when I get off the phone with someone, I'm delivering such value that they walk away and their business, they know exactly what steps to take next. They're completely clear on, here's what I was missing, but now I see it. And, you don't get to that point overnight, though, and you just have to give yourself that grace as you get there.
Well, thank you so much for that. What are you working on now? I am in your Facebook group. I know there is a challenge going on. What is it about?
Yes. So we're doing a Facebook Live challenge. It's called Newbie to Confident in 5 days. And ultimately, one of the things that I love about my business, and this is something I had to learn about myself, is that I love delivering content via video. And it's so much easier for me. If I write something like a blog post, I'm going to sit there and reread it. I'm going to nitpick it. I'm going to Google, how do I make this more persuasive? I'm going to try, and it's just going to be ridiculous how much time I worry. But when I create video, I just jump in there, and even though I mess up, even though I make a mistake, I never rewatch it. So I just am like, that was good. Good job, Elizabeth. And so right now I'm working on this challenge, and it's to help people to live stream in using Facebook Live, and just to use that platform as a way to get more visible in front of your audience. Because when I started showing up consistently with value and content and being on video, my audience just connects to me so much more. And that's what's really important in building your business. You want to build an audience of raving fans, not just a list of people with who knows how many read it, but you want people who know you. And when you show up on video, they do. So that's what I'm working on right now. We're on day 2 right now, but if you want to check it out. And I have a Facebook group. That's really the best way to connect with me. It's called Marketing Your Business Mastermind. And inside of there, we just talk about those 3 core elements of what I do: getting visible, driving traffic, and audience building. And so we do lots of live trainings in there on those things.
So you're currently working on Facebook live stream, but I know recently you were talking about Blab and how to use Blab for business. That's also something very interesting.
Yeah, I'm in the process of creating a course on how people can start their own, call it a show, interview series, whatever you want to call it. But it's how people can use Blab's platform to create a live streaming show or interview series, whatever, and then repurpose it so that you can get the most bang for your buck. But also, it just builds your visibility. So that's something that's coming out here soon. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Ooh, it's going to be interesting. This is my first Blab ever, so I'm going to follow that one definitely. And I think we have some people live here. If someone wants to ask a question, Elizabeth, there is a box where you can send a message, and then she will answer it, or me, whatever you ask, depends on what you ask. So I see, I think Kaiser Azim asked how to join a conversation. Elizabeth, they can't join a conversation live at the moment, right?
I locked the seat. Basically, people can, but a lot of times what happens, Sunita, is people just jump on and then they immediately try and join the conversation, and then they leave if they can't. So
okay, so they can post a question in the box and we will see it immediately. Okay, that's great. So I apologize again for my roosters, for my cats. I love being outside. It's really, really hot here in Croatia. How is it where you live, Elizabeth?
I haven't even been outside yet today, but it's been pretty muggy outside. So really humid and not delightful. So
this is the peak of the summer here, and we have to bear with the heat. and I found this nice shade. I thought it was going to be quiet. Well, we'll see. Okay, so people, if you want to join Elizabeth's group, it's Marketing Mastermind. How was it?
Marketing Your Business Mastermind. Yep.
Yeah, and it's a great group. I'm there too. So I think we can wrap it up, Elizabeth, right?
Yeah.
I thank you so much for being my very first guest on my very first Blab, and talk to you soon. Thank you.
Great. See ya.
Bye.